We are live.
All right, so let's start off with a roll call. I'll go first. This is Barry Del Cambry.
Emily Doran.
Becky Kittleman.
Do we have anyone else?
Pat Sheehan.
Oh, there it's Pat. Is that it, Emily? Everyone? Is that all we have?
It looks like it, unless we do have another person calling in, and I'm not sure if they're just a guest.
So if we only have 3, that's not enough, right?
We have 4. We have Becky as well. Becky, Pat, Emily, and you are.
Okay, yep. Sorry. Okay, so we have a quorum. So now that we have roll call, we can move on to public comments. Do we have anyone for public comments?
If there's anyone in the audience that is calling in and would like to speak, you can raise your hand by pushing *9. If you are in the audience, you can raise your hand on the app or the computer at the bottom of your screen. At this time, we don't have anyone raising their hand, Barry.
Okay. So then I would like to, well, we're not closing public comment, or are we? The agenda is different. We have public comments and consent agenda, then public hearing. So we're
right,
closed.
you can just close.
Overall,
yeah, you can just move on.
Do we need a motion for that? Sorry, I'm new to the rule.
No. If there's no public comments, we can just move on to the.
Okay, and then so we can move to the consent agenda. Sorry, and then from there, discussion on possible action amendment minutes from the November 12th meeting, which means we just need to ratify them. So we need a motion to ratify the minutes on November 12th, 2020.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Can we go?
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Aye. Just now. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so it looks like our minutes from November 12th have been ratified, right? So we can move on to public hearings now.
Correct. And these are the
Yep.
ones, when we have public hearings, we have to open them and
Yep.
state the time and
Yes. So do we need a motion for that?
not to open them or anything. No,
So we're just,
you'll open it and open it up to discussion.
yep. So we need to open up item number 3 and let me know if you want to state these instead of me doing it. I'm just trying to move us through these. Okay.
Go ahead.
So the first one is item number 3 on the public hearing. It's public hearing on RCDC resolution number 2020-1210, authorizing the project to make certain improvements that will enhance essentially the park and recs facilities, amount not exceeding $30,000. If you remember from our previous conversations, and most of y'all have been on here, we can't do anything that is not considered a capital improvement. So this was an item that I believe y'all voted for or reviewed in the past couple of meetings. This is considered and has been approved from our legal standpoint as being a capital improvement. So we are, from my understanding on this, is we are in our wheelhouse or legal authority to approve this. And so from that, I think we need to open it up to any public comments. Just as a reminder, both from a public hearing standpoint and our own, I just want to reiterate this one more time. RCDC cannot do non-capital improvements to the park systems because it is not deemed a economic development item. So anything that is capital, meaning something that is a longer lasting project, is okay, but something like providing mulch is not something that RCDC can provide. And do we have any?
I don't see any hands raised.
So do we need to move to the next item?
At this time, then, if there is no one to speak, you'll just close the public hearing and then we'll go through to the next one.
For the next item or move to the regular agenda?
The next item.
Yep.
We'll open
Okay.
We'll open a public hearing for items 3, 4, and 5, and we'll open and close them each and then move on to the regular agenda.
So now we will open up public hearing RCDC resolution 2020-1210-2007. This is legal services necessary essentially for the MOPAC expansion that's been approved or looking at from the stuff that we've been speaking about, but it does impact the city's commercial corridor, and it impacts our ability to be able to grow both the commercial side and even impacts more residential people. This allows us to help offsetting legal costs up to $40,000 pursuant with Texas Local Government Code Section 505.158. Do we have any comments on that?
We do not have any hands raised.
Okay. So if that's the case, we will close item 3 in the public hearing and move to item 5, public hearing resolution number 2020-12-10-2008. It's development of the comprehensive plan, which we've been working closely with the city on for probably about 8 months now. It'll assist in promoting new and expanding businesses and really give us a path forward as how we both create and retain jobs in Rollingwood. We have a very small commercial corridor, obviously, and a very heavy residential community. So I think this is something that hopefully someone is in the audience would like to speak to, but if not, we are authorizing expenditures not to exceed $30,000, again, pursuant to legal code section 505.158.
There are no hands raised.
Barry,
Yeah. Go ahead, Pat. Oh, sorry.
about the strike force or the task force and what
Yep.
we're doing. I'm the RCDC
Yep.
representative on that. And I'm glad to, fill in anyone in on what's going on and what the status is. So let me know.
Yeah. I think now in my current role, I'd like to be not more involved, but at least more informed of what's going on. I mean, I've been to some of the meetings and stuff, but yeah, I think that we should, I think that's outside of the public hearing, but we should let's work on that.
No, absolutely. And I'm happy to visit with anyone about it. I've been spending a lot of time on it, and there's a lot of people. We have a lot of really good people on that strike force. We're spending a lot of time, and we're starting to get substantively into the issues. And I feel like we're starting to. And while we've broken out into some different subcommittees, I feel like we're really starting to make some good progress.
Great. No, I've heard a lot of good things from it. Can we make, unrelated to that conversation, can we make a motion to close the public hearing and go to a regular agenda?
Yes, you can just close it.
Yep. Okay, let's just close the public hearing. If no one was available, then we'll move on to the regular agenda. So this all dovetails into kind of what we just done in the public hearing. I mean, for anyone, I know we have some new members, but typically we would have public hearing remarks on each of the items. And then from there, we would discuss in a regular agenda, given the feedback from the community, we would then make, kind of an agreement or a vote on whether or not we're going to do these items. So at this point, this is our chance to talk after the public hearing. Typically would be item number 6, which is authorization, essentially making what I said before, making the kind of capital improvements to community facilities within Rollingwood. And let me know if I need to read this entirely out, but this is what we had discussed previously. And so we need to make sure we need to either approve or not approve these items. I don't believe at the meeting where this was actually proposed. And so from that context, other than it's been approved from a legal standpoint, the actual capital improvements are not something that I'm familiar with. So from that standpoint, from my standpoint, I don't feel comfortable voting on this other than the fact that it's been legally blessed. I don't know what all the items are.
Yeah, and Barry, I'll echo. One of the things I was hoping to see in the backup documents were at least some detail of, and maybe we've seen them in the past, but some detail from the Parks Commission on exactly what we're spending the $30,000 on or authorizing to be spent on.
There was, in the previous
using
meeting,
those-
there's been discussion of it and a detail furnished to the board.
Right. Originally, the RCDC saw the projects and was able to, decide on whether or not to kind of give them their preliminary approval. And then it went to the city council and it went to 2 different meetings. So it goes to the city council, opportunities for public input. And then at that point, it just comes back to RCDC for a formal resolution.
No, I fully understand that. When I guess my point was when this meeting happened, and this is not an error on anyone else. I literally I was not involved in those, and so I don't feel comfortable. I mean, I know that's been approved by the various councils within our city. I just don't know what they approved, and so I don't want to. I would feel. I'm not saying this isn't like the right thing to do. I literally just don't know what's in this other than what was in the packet, and the packet that we got, it wasn't as detailed as maybe some of the conversations y'all had before, or at least I didn't read it correctly. And so from that standpoint, I was hoping everyone else had been through this, so that I didn't have to kind of not vote.
I'll make a motion that we approve item 6, please.
Okay.
Does anyone remember? I mean, I remember vaguely discussing this and looking at the projects, but I can't remember exactly what the projects were, how much they were.
It's significant upgrades to the landscaping in the park. So we're talking about flowers and grass and new soil. And
Is it, Amber, do you remember the meeting? The date of the meeting that we discussed it?
That would have been.
Because if so, we can probably pull up the packet from that, because I know that there was a pretty decent write up in the packet for that, and and from my standpoint, I just need my memory jogged a little bit.
Yep.
Just because I'm kind of with Barry. I remember, from my standpoint, I remember having the discussion. I remember looking at the projects and remember having the discussion. I just can't remember it exactly.
It's the September 10th meeting.
Thank you.
We have a map.
Yeah. Now, I remember
Amber,
the backup documents being in there and being helpful. I just want to kind of refresh my memory real quick.
Yeah, I'd like to see it too, because I've never seen it. I mean, I've only been to one meeting. I think, Emily, you're in the same boat.
right.
Well, so this will, so there will be some challenges, right? So a lot of the things and again, not knowing exactly what happens, but this is all seasonal. If we delay certain items, then there are times where, like, from a growing season standpoint, or
Well, we would
aesthetic,
make
right?
certain.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
go
would make certain we don't purchase. I mean, right now is planting season.
Yeah, no, that's what I
so-
mean. So, like, I guess our inaction could actually, like, that's exactly what I meant. Like, inaction means like planting season doesn't happen.
I have a quick proposal. I just found a link to the September packet with all the information in it. It's a quick read. One thing I can do is I can just email everyone the link real quick for anyone who basically has a computer open and wants to see it.
Yeah, we do have a standing motion though to approve the resolution that I think we need to address one way or another, even during this process.
The motion wasn't seconded yet.
Oh, correct.
Can we table it for now and come back to it later in the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. So we need a motion to table, right? And then from there a second, and then let's look at it as basically item 9. Is that correct?
You don't need a table.
No.
You don't need a motion to
Okay.
table if you're
All
going to take it up in the same meeting. Just
Yeah.
ask if.
Just move on.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just move on. So the next item is the authorizing the project for legal services related to essentially the MOPAC, design and MOPAC and the potential impacts of the city's commercial corridor, which we had mentioned before is critical to developing our commercial business district. And in this scenario, this resolution allows us to allocate $40,000 of expenditures, up to $40,000, sorry, pursuant with Texas Local Government Code section 505.158. I would, if we don't have a discussion, I would like a motion to approve this resolution or this item. allocating $40,000 of the RCDC fund to help provide capital assets for this project. $40,000.
Yeah, and I'm going to be abstaining from
Okay.
this.
So, okay. Can we still approve a motion with when we have a quorum at our quorum with one person abstaining?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I
So
just have
this
the
is
question?
another one where I'm brand new to this. I have no idea what the money being spent is.
I was just about to ask the same question, Bobby.
So,
Sure, so
Um,
this is used
go
to
ahead.
pay for legal expenses in the event that CTRMA proceeds with a design that the city of Rollywood does not support. We've been very clear with CTRMA that we don't want elevated lanes above BK Road. We want to make sure we have optimized access to BK Road and our commercial corridor. And so the reason why RCDC is in on this is to make sure that we are able to protect our commercial corridor and make sure we have good access to the businesses there.
and in my terms, for the new people on this, what it essentially means is that Rolling would be bypassed by a lot of the items proposed by this plan. And so we're essentially acting as a fund to help make sure that Rollingwood is not bypassed. That's my view of item number 7. Is that, Amber, is that kind of like a layman's version of that?
So in other words, we're just allocating funds for a legal.
That's right.
team.
It's a legal defense fund. That's exactly what it is.
Right, and we may or may not spend that money. CTRMA has kind of put the project on hold. But depending on, we need to be, council's position is that we need to be prepared to go.
And Amber, I can speak to this.
That'd be great.
A little bit as well. And this is part of the reason why I'm abstaining from it. Or actually the reason I'm abstaining from it, because I've been working with the city and helping the city on MOPAC South issues on an as needed basis for a while. And, there are a lot of, so CTRMA has been going through the planning process using NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, as a framework, which basically requires them to have different alternatives and then select from different alternatives for an ultimate design for MOPAC South. A lot of the design alternatives that we've seen would have, impacts to community aesthetics, community values, et cetera. And so what this money, my understanding of what this money is it kind of goes under the guise of the Teddy Roosevelt speak softly and carry a big stick, or at least a big enough stick, where we've been in dialogues. We've been working with CTRMA really primarily to do 2 things. One, to make sure that from a design standpoint, there's nothing that would adversely impact our neighborhood community values, like elevated lanes adjacent to the city that would add to noise and also detract from the aesthetic views and things like that. But also at the same time, making sure, in the design and construction of potential toll lanes and everything else, that we still have, good and adequate access on and off of MOPAC, but also that from a commercial standpoint, from a retail standpoint, people who want to come here to, shop or dine or whatever, are able to get here and they're not forced to bypass. And so essentially this money, depending, and Amber's absolutely right, they, because of budgetary things and everything, a lot of different things going on with CTRMA's budget, and also the state's budget, this thing's kind of been put on hold indefinitely. But it could, they're still in the planning process and they could reinitiate the planning process pretty much at any time. So we just want to make sure that, or the city wants to make sure that there are funds available in case they're needed for legal services.
These funds would just be held by the city to be spent as needed, and for how long? Do you know, David?
I do not know the answer to that.
Are we the only committee or group that's within Rolingwood putting forth money?
My understanding, and I'll let Amber and Ashley may have some more information on this. My understanding is, basically the city's been footing the majority of the bill for any consulting and expert costs. And essentially the thought is this would be a cost share from RCDC, basically acting on behalf of protecting the interest and the access for primarily the commercial properties, and Trader Joe's, and all the other businesses up and down.
I mean, the downstream information for us is if this actually, the plan they proposed, if it went into practice, our commercial district would be,
Difficult.
I wouldn't go away, but I mean, we would be greatly impacted.
Right.
So this is, as from a development corporation standpoint, this is one of the areas where we kind of have to, we have to and need to protect our assets. In this case, our assets are our commercial corridor. So from all the things we have proposed here, and both now and even looking at 2021, this is probably our most critical funding opportunity. So
is the city council is everybody unanimous on the city council of expecting or desiring for this to happen? Was there opposition?
No, they were fully in support of, I mean, to your question, I would think the council doesn't want to have to pay or have RCDC pay for these funds. They would like CTRMA to design as they have asked them to do. But yes, if it comes to that, they are fully supportive and agree that this is a critical project to undertake.
Fair enough.
So
Yeah, thank you. I understand that better now. Appreciate it. So I move to approve.
Yep. Go ahead. So so are you the second? I think I motioned earlier, but
I can second.
okay. We have a second. So that means now we're up for a vote, right? So we need all in favor. This one's a bit longer.
Aye. Becky Kittleman, aye.
Baird O'Hamry, aye.
Emily Dorn, aye.
He said aye, but he's on mute. Pat, you're on mute. Understandably.
Pat Sheehan, aye.
Bobby Hempling, aye.
Dave Smith abstaining.
Yep. That's enough for us to, I believe the motion of all the agenda item has been approved. Is that correct? That was all of us. It's hard to follow on Zoom meetings. Okay. So with that being approved, we can move to item number 8 on the regular agenda. It's authorizing the RCDC project for accomplishment plan, which allows us to assist in promoting new and expanding business developments and providing assistance how the business can create and retain jobs, and authorizing expenditures in the amount of not to exceed $30,000. These dollars from reading the packets and being in previous meetings will really be helping RCDC being both involved and providing dollars for the comprehensive plan, which I think in our case, again, just like number 7, is pretty critical to us. So as we look at how we expand and develop as a city, aside from residential, on the commercial side, we need to make sure that the commercial part is taken care of, and that's where this comes into effect. Do we have any discussion from other members? Open to hearing anyone else's comments.
And Barry, I can basically put a little bit of addition into kind of what some of this is being spent for as kind of for examples. One of the things as a group we're we're drilling down into our, and one of the things we'll be looking at, and I'm heading up the subcommittee on the Bee Caves commercial corridor, looking at that. And one of the things we've been asked by the city council also look at is mobility and traffic issues. Also, the other thing we're taking a look at and undertaking that Tom Farrell and I have talked quite a bit about is water and wastewater capacity. And so what we're doing is, we're really lucky that we have a ton of very, very smart, very, very talented people, not necessarily me, but a bunch of other people who are really good on the task force, who are spending a lot of time and effort drilling down into these issues. But on some of the more technical issues, we're having to rely on some outside experts, engineers, consultants, et cetera, to help us with compiling additional data that we feel like we need in order to make some informed decisions about what to put into the comprehensive plan looking forward. And that's everything from, like I said, do analysis of existing water and wastewater capacity, vis-a-vis, our infrastructure, but also contracts with the city of Austin, to, looking at elevations from various points in the city, looking at mobility issues, et cetera. So that's what this is for. And, the thought is from the RCDC standpoint to, since it will, the goal is for it to benefit the businesses, both, office and retail and restaurants in Rollingwood long-term, and also kind of help, from business infrastructure, and hopefully both ad valorem and sales tax going forward, that this will be and this would be a cost share from RCDC with the city as well.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like that's part of that is our role, right? So I don't, that makes perfect sense on why we'd be asked to do either a cost share or provide some funds for this. So if we don't have, a lot of people are on mute right now, so I'm not sure if there's any other discussion or not, but if not, then this is one of those areas where I think we should open it up for either a motion to approve or reject. So I would like to hear if anyone wants to provide like a motion to approve the allocation of funds or not. Nobody? Okay, so I would like to make a motion to
Pat's trying
approve.
to stop. Unmute your.
Oh, sorry, Pat, you're muted again. There you go.
Oh, you're muted again.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I make a motion to approve. Item 8.
I'll second it.
All right, so let's do a roll call. All in favor. I'll go first. Barry Del Cambre, aye.
Bobby Hempling, aye.
Emily Dorn, aye.
Okay.
Becky Kittleman, aye.
Pat Sheehan, aye.
Yeah. All right, so that.
And Dave Smith, aye.
Yep. All right, so that motion is approved, and I think now we have to go back to item number 6, I believe.
I had a chance to look over it, and I'll pass it. I mean, I'll make a motion that we pass it.
How far down the packet was it? I didn't see it.
It just shows
It
up.
starts on page 13, Bobby.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It
and
starts
then
on
there's
page 13.
images and stuff as you go down.
Yeah, and actually, as I look, and Amber, thank you for Amber and Ashley, thank you for refreshing my memory and pointing me back to it, because now that I'm looking over it again, I remember exactly what it's for. So very helpful.
Actually, Pat made a motion.
Yeah, I made the motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Can I just ask, I mean, like I see everything that's going on, but it's just a significant improvement to the grounds at the lower park, the upper park. What was the thought process for it?
It was based on our discussion. It was basically taking a look at areas from a landscaping standpoint, but also, you know, there's some mulching there's where basically this is over and above what ordinary operation maintenance would be. This is actually kind of capital improvements to basically both the aesthetics and the functionality of areas of the park that needed to, and there's a whole lot of stuff in here, but it's basically improving some protective rings around big trees and improving some planting beds, planting areas, basically so it looks better, but then also, you know, doing things like, you know, creating beds with, you know, irrigation. So when they go in and plant the beds and everything, what they plant in there's going to live and survive. And I know that when we discussed it, we had really gone back to the park committee at least 2 or 3 times and said, hey, look, you know, you need to give us some detail. You need to explain to us what you're doing, and you need to show us that you shop this around and, you know, got good pricing and everything else for this, which I will tell you, based on the back and forth after a couple months, they did.
It's at $29,000, but prior to that, it had been significantly higher.
So I'm not following you.
I'm just looking at the bid. It looks like it's $29,708 to get all this work done. And it had been higher before y'all went back and forth and
they'd gotten some higher bids from folks. Yes.
And we hired a new park landscaper, and she's doing an incredible job. So I think you will probably realize some cost savings as we're going to have her do the project rather than hire it out.
That's great. I wasn't aware of that element, so thanks for that info.
We need to vote on it?
We need a motion, I think, to approve.
Good.
We have a motion in a second.
Oh, we did? Okay. Sorry. All right, then, okay, so we need to do a roll call. Let's start from there. I'll go first. Given this, but this is just my preference, and I'll make a brief comment. Since this has gone through our vetting process and then back through city council, back to us, we've approved this, and it's been vetted. I will vote aye.
Ed Sheehan, aye.
Emily Dorn, aye. Emily Dorn, aye.
David Smith, aye.
Bobby Hempling, aye.
All right. So I think that means the resolution passed. So we passed our items today. And now we need a motion. We have no other existing items. We needed a motion for adjournment. Before we adjourn, the one thing I would like to ask us as we look forward to 2021, you know, our budget will still be in flux. I would like to, you know, and I'll work with Amber on this, but getting together us in if it's a meeting, that's fine. We'll add it to the agenda, but some way to make sure we're allocating our funds correctly and how we look at how we truly grow the RCDC to being a true pillar of the business community. I think for now we're still in infancy, either from an organizational standpoint or kind of how we've asserted ourselves. And so I'd like us to be more on the forefront than having things passed to us. So as we look to next year, that's kind of the stuff that I'm looking to have us be more involved in. And again, we'll see that more next year, but I just want to make sure that we have the benefit of getting, I think, you know, a fraction of a cent of taxes. And so we should be able to use that in a way that makes the city truly grow and have an opportunity to attract business. With that, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second, Ed Sheehan.
Okay. So then we can move for, is that it, or do we need to have a vote on the closing? Sorry, Ashley. Closing is different. We go back and forth on that sometimes.
I don't even think we need to vote, or just all,
Yeah.
all in favor, if
Yeah.
that'd be fine.
Okay.
Or,
So
Do we have our next meeting? Do we know when it is?
we don't know yet. We have to set it, but
It is
believe-
the regular meeting date.
it's the second Thursday, right, of the month.
Yes, so January 14th is the current next meeting date.
Okay, thank you. Y'all have a good Christmas season, guys.
Yep. Y'all too.
Ew,
Right.
thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
I,